It's surreal. It hasn't hit home yet, the full value of the shock that's going to be set upon.
Hi, I'm Lauren Bird, in for Andrew Chang. Devastating stories of close calls and loss coming out of Alberta over the last few days. Wildfires have ripped through the northern and central part of the province. Nearly 90 wildfires are active right now. Roughly 30 are considered out of control, and there are 14 of note, which means they're very visible or that they pose a threat to public safety. Houses and barns burnt to the ground, just huge stretches of land scorched, and a staggering 30,000 people forced from their homes and communities. Some have gone back, but most have no idea when they'll be able to return or what they'll be returning to, or if this is a signal of more extreme wildfire seasons to come.
People have called this season certainly unprecedented in recent memory when we have so many fires so spread out.
Thursday evening when we went to bed, we felt that we were safe. Friday morning, that all changed.
This is usually full of horses and full of people. And today, the only horses home are 4 I brought home because they load well.
It was very disorienting. It was very difficult to actually comprehend that this was happening, and I had to step into action.
We've got a lot of the farmers that are going out of their way. They're using their cats or whatever to create fire guards themselves.
Every time the alert comes on, we're on the alert. You want to look and yet you're scared to look because they might say it's your town that's actually on fire.
From the news that I'm hearing, I'm going to be displaced for a while longer still.
Just trying to stay happy and gracious for everything that we do have remaining and the support that we have.
It started just over a week ago with a stretch of unseasonably hot temperatures, above 30 degrees in many places, and it happened fast. The first evacuations happened on April 29th in Entwistle and Evansburg, 120 kilometers west of Edmonton.
Roughly 1,200 people live in the small communities.
We had 3 police cars all within 5 to 7 minutes say, okay, we have to go.
People living in Drayton Valley and Brazeau County, about 140 kilometers southwest of Edmonton, evacuated their homes late Thursday night. On Friday, even more people were being told to leave their homes across the province.
I saw the smoke when I was at work, and then I got home at about 9:30, quarter to 10, and it was really, really smoky. And I was just sitting there, just put the dogs to bed, and came on the TV that town of Drayton Valley has half an hour to evacuate. So we packed up our stuff, all our animals, and came to Edmonton.
Even the packing the cat, that was scary because he's scared and we're scared and we haven't slept, and it's been, I don't know, people are just so wonderful. I'm sorry, but the things that they do to open up for us when they didn't have to, and they got short notice too. And you know what? That's a miracle in itself.
Saturday, the province declared a state of emergency.
Our ask at this time is very simple. We ask that all Albertans listen to local officials regarding any evacuation orders that you may receive.
And yesterday,
because this wildfire is still out of control. It's about 5,000 hectares, so about 50 square kilometers. And the fire actually jumped the highway that you see here behind me. So whether it went this way or that way, it scorched the earth really on both sides.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke with Premier Danielle Smith yesterday morning about offering support.
During our call, Prime Minister Trudeau confirmed that the military will be sent to assist if necessary. We will continue to keep communication channels open with the federal government as we respond to this unprecedented situation.
I assured Danielle that we will be there to help. We talked a lot about the different ways the federal government can help, and we will be working to make sure that we're supporting Albertans.
At a press conference yesterday, Danielle Smith said there's a one-time payment available for anyone who has been out of their home for a week or more. She also put a call out for help from volunteer firefighters in remote areas. The province has already welcomed help from Ontario and Quebec and is expecting reinforcements from Yukon, Ontario, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick next week. Alberta is unfortunately no stranger to wildfires. And it's not even that unusual to see them this early in the season. May is typically one of the busier periods because of a dangerous combo: dry vegetation, lots of wind, and in many cases, a lack of vigilance. In May of 2011, an enormous wildfire burned through the town of Slave Lake, reducing nearly 400 homes and businesses to rubble. And who could forget Fort McMurray in May 2016?
Holy look at that! Roll your window up. Get over that way. Holy
It's a disaster, and I find that that's not fair. They didn't even let us take our things and when we asked them. So we lost everything now. We don't have what we have on our backs.
It led to the largest wildfire evacuation in the province's history. Nearly 90,000 people forced from their homes. In the end, the fire destroyed around 2,400 homes. There was also Chugag Creek in May of 2019. That fire was caused by lightning and led to the evacuation of about 4,000 people. And the destruction closing in on so many communities all over the province right now, it's bringing up a lot of bad memories.
Fort McMurray came into my mind, what they went through in 2016. It's very scary. It's so surreal.
The thing that experts say is different about what's unfolding now is the sheer amount of ground these fires are covering. It's a big part of what's making them difficult to contain. And it couples with the record-smashing heat over the last week or so. So it might be a sign of a new normal taking hold.
Certainly we know our climate is changing. We know through our disaster risk assessment that so many of the risks that we have are weather related, whether that is wildfire, whether that is air quality, whether that is flooding concerns. They're weather related. They're becoming more frequent and they're becoming more severe. So we need to be ready for whatever is coming to us.
So we wanted to get a sense of the challenges facing Albertans right now from CBC meteorologist and climate reporter Christy Climenhaga. She joins us now from Edmonton. Hey, Christy, thanks so much for chatting with me.
No problem, Lauren. Happy to be here.
So May, we've seen, over the last 10 years, lots of big fires happening in Alberta in May. Like, what is happening there right now that we're seeing this?
Yeah, I mean, these sorts of fires this early in the season really are when you'd usually see the catastrophic wildfires. Earlier on, what happens at this point in May is we do have a little bit of green coming out, but it is still pretty early. There's still a lot of dead vegetation, dead grass, trees haven't greened up, that sort of thing that makes those fires spread really easily and those fires start really easily. So what we've been having over the past week is a little bit of a ridge in our upper atmosphere, which basically means that all weather systems, all storms have been deflected around Alberta, keeping things really dry and also letting heat build. So some unseasonable heat, some really dry conditions on top of an already dry start to the spring. And it just means the perfect recipe for fires to start and for them to spread. And then with a little bit of wind through the weekend, some really fast moving wildfires, which makes them very hard to combat. So kind of the perfect storm of wildfire conditions set up across Alberta.
I mean, you talk about it being hard to combat. Like, how difficult is it to contain these fires?
When you look at these wildfires, you really have to look at the weather conditions that will affect that combat, will affect that ability to approach them and be safe while doing that. So what we talk about in the wildfire world is the rule of 30 or 30-30-30. So when you have temperatures above 30 degrees, winds above 30 kilometers per hour, and relative humidities below 30%, that's when wildfires get really dangerous. They move really quickly. They are really, really challenging. And we saw those 30-degree temperatures last week. We had winds well over 30 kilometers per hour through the weekend. And our relative humidities have been really low last week in that 10 to 15%. And why that's important is it really just saps any moisture that there is in the grass, in the trees, in the shrubs. And that means that things catch fire and move really fast. So those are the sorts of things that we look at. And thankfully, through the end of the weekend and the early start of this week, we've had a little relief with that, some cooler temperatures, some more showery weather to help that accessibility, but definitely a difficult weekend for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, you talk about that dry weather, and we're heading into summer, which is, a lot more dry. So what are we looking at then in the months ahead?
Yeah, I mean, a very busy start clearly to our fire season. Does it necessarily mean we're going to have a week like this every single day of the summer? Of course not. But it does kind of set the stage for what we're seeing. Long-term forecasts for the summer in Alberta do look hotter than normal and could trend a little bit on the drier side. So it's really just a matter of when we see our rain. If we're seeing rain every 2 to 3 days, we're probably in okay shape for the rest of the summer. But if we do get into these longer stretches that we've been seeing with, a week without a lot of moisture, or 2 weeks and then some hot temperatures, it doesn't really take all that much to dry things out and set the stage for these extreme fire dangers that we've been seeing.
And I mean, when we look back, on the last 10 years, we have seen a lot. So is this something that we can be expecting?
It's definitely less shocking, if that makes sense. I mean, with climate change, we do expect longer fire seasons. We expect more extreme fire seasons or higher severity fires. And they've been trending that way. I mean, our fire season in Alberta used to begin April 1st. It now starts March 1st. And we see fires all year round. So it is something that we kind of have to contend with now. And especially as we see the increased severity and risk of heat waves, which do lend to those longer stretches of hot, dry weather, it's something to keep an eye out for, because this could be something that we see a little bit more often.
Wow. Well, we will be watching for sure. Christy Climenhaga, thanks so much for taking the time.
You're welcome.